So if you've been following my coverage of Kadrey v. Meta, you basically know what's going on. If you've just been going with the news media, not so much. And I want to cover this one that I was basically attacked with on X. And they're all over the socials talking about this. And I just want to show you just another example of how the news media just outright lies about it. And this is from Reuters. And remember that Reuters isn't just a news outlet. It's a news outlet that other news outlets get their reporting from. And they'll take what Reuters does and pass it along. So they're making it out like Judge Vince Chhabria just went after Meta for trying to obliterate the market for original works. How horrible! And if you look down a little further, you find these quotes like, "You have companies using copyright-protected material to create a product that is capable of producing an infinite number of competing products. You are dramatically changing, you might even say obliterating the market for that person's work, and you're saying that you don't even have to pay a license to that person. I just don't understand how that can be fair use." And that and other quotes are being used to say, oh, see, Meta's lost the case, what Meta's doing. Don't listen to people like Shane, what Meta's doing is absolutely terrible. And even after a whole lot of prompting, I couldn't get any of them to admit that things just might not be what they're told. Because if you look on the docket, there's no ruling by the judge. There's no comments by the judge. There's no minute order. There's no nothing. What they're talking about is a hearing. And it's a hearing on the motion to dismiss, which so far Meta has been winning. The only count that hasn't really been dismissed is the one they want litigated, which is that AI training is transformative fair use. But they've added on a couple others, so there's the motion to dismiss out. And I mentioned this before, but the way a motion to dismiss works is that we haven't had the fact-finding part. That's the actual trial. The jury is going to be the finder of fact. We haven't gotten there yet. A motion to dismiss happens before then. And actually, there are a number of different places where it can happen. Where we are now, we've finished with discovery. We finished fact discovery. I believe we've finished with expert discovery as well. And so now Meta is making this motion. And so what they had was a hearing. Now in a hearing, and sadly we don't get video of district court proceedings. I think we should. If it's a public trial that's open to the public, if it's one where any member of the public can go into the gallery and watch it, then it should be live streamed. But you will see circuit courts will often live stream the oral arguments. And of course, you get the audio from the Supreme Court. And what you'll see is that in these oral arguments, the judges push against both of them. And if you have a good, fair, and impartial judge, he's going to push against them both equally. So when he's talking to Meta, he's going to push against them. But when he's talking to the plaintiffs, he's going to push against them, and then he'll sound like a champion for fair use. Because he wants to put all of those arguments to the test. And he wants to see how the arguments hold out, because at this point, with the motion to dismiss, you assume all of the facts in the light most favorable to the plaintiff. And the reason why is that if you do that and the plaintiffs still don't have a case, then there's no point in going any further. And so that's how you approach this. If it goes forward, then you'll actually have the trial where the jury will be the finder of fact. And then they'll actually make the determination of fact for one side or the other, and then the judge will figure out what to do after that. But you see, if all you're getting is the news media, you'll not only get this from Reuters, you get it from Ars Technica. Judge on Meta's AI training. I just don't understand how that can be fair use. Probably just mindlessly passing on Reuters reporting on it. I mean, even PC Gamer, U.S. federal judge on Meta's copyright fair use argument. You are dramatically changing, you might even say obliterating, the market for that person's work. And the subheading, I just don't understand how that can be fair use. But you could write an equivalent story and make it look like Judge Chhabria was just blasting the plaintiffs for everything, because they would have been. Now, this is reporting from people who were there. We don't have a transcript of the proceeding yet. And of course, like I said, we don't have video to go from. But either way, that's what would have happened. If you were there, you could have written down all of the things the judge said against the plaintiffs, against the authors. And you can make it sound like, oh, the judge is totally on Meta's side and he's going after the plaintiffs for this frivolous anti-tech lawsuit and whatever. You could cherry pick the judge's comments to make it sound like he's going whatever way you want, because that's what he's going to do. When he's talking to Meta, he's going to push back against their arguments. When he's talking to the plaintiffs, he's going to push back against theirs, and then he's going to make a decision. And yes, there are biased judges out there. I don't think Judge Kadrey is one, based on what I've seen in this case so far. He seems to be pretty fair-minded. But you might have judges that would just go completely against one side or the other, but usually they push against both. And when they don't, like a lot of times you'll see this in the circuit court or in the Supreme Court, that's where you have a panel of judges, and where one judge doesn't push against the other side, another judge will. But here he's the only judge, so he's going to make sure to do that. So this is just cherry picking. This is a nothing burger. Ignore this. Pay attention to my reporting, because I'm the only one giving you the truth on this. And it does matter. Because as I've pointed out repeatedly, fair use is important for each and every one of us, regardless of whether or not we use AI. And that's exactly what they're threatening here. Because if they win here, and they take down this transformative use, they're not going to limit it to AI. They're going to use that precedent to go after whoever they want. And then they really will control the conversation. And we can't let that happen. And if you believe that as well, and you understand why it's important to support the only YouTuber who is giving you this information, then what you need to do is go to donate.bogosity.tv and keep me doing it. And also, of course, comments for the Comment God, shares for the Share Throne, like, subscribe, the bell. YouTube is shadow banning all of these, so make sure you share them. Every share gives it a boost in the algorithm. It won't just be viewed by the few people who might be looking at your share. You might say, oh, I only have 5 followers. Doesn't matter. That'll give it a little boost in the algorithm. I can tell in the analytics, there's a little bump up there. I'm like, oh, someone shared it. That helps as much as anything. So do that. Become a supporter. One-time donations, PayPal, Venmo, cryptocurrency. Or become a subscriber, Patreon, Subscribestar, or Discord. And keep this channel going. Thank you so very much. Until next time, stay strong and be free. And don't trust the news media.